back to Tech Dose from ReviewHub. We love to dig into the latest tech. And today we're doing a deep dive into the Nothing Phone 3A series. We've got reviews and spec sheets galore. And we really want to figure out, does this phone actually live up to the hype?
Well, it's pretty amazing what Nothing has done. I mean, they've created a ton of buzz, and they're still a pretty new company.
Yeah, it's only been, like a few years?
Yeah.
But they've really made a splash with that distinct transparent design and, of course, their glyph interface. For those who are new to Nothing phones, that's their signature system of LED lights that pulse for notifications and all kinds of cool stuff.
They've definitely found their niche, offering a premium experience without that premium price tag, especially with their last phone, the Phone 2A. And it looks like they're pushing even further, especially with this new Pro model.
Yeah, so let's break down what's new and interesting. The transparent back is back, of course, but they've made some tweaks. The 3A Pro, for instance, it's got this really cool asymmetrical camera layout where the camera bump kind of blends right into the glyph interface.
It's a bold design choice for sure. Really sets it apart from all the other phones out there.
And speaking of bold, have you seen how they unbox this thing? It's with a humanoid robot called Neo Gamma.
Definitely some clever marketing there. Makes them look super innovative and forward-thinking.
Totally. And speaking of the glyph interface, it's gotten a pretty big upgrade with this 3A series.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Pro model, there are 3 separate LED segments that wrap around the whole camera module, which gives you way more control over your notifications. Like you can customize the patterns for different contacts or apps. They even added haptic feedback for the glyph.
Oh, wow. So now you can actually feel the notification. It's not just a visual thing anymore. It's like a little light show on the back of your phone that you can actually interact with. That's really neat.
Yeah, definitely. And then moving on to the display, both the 3A and the 3A Pro have AMOLED displays, which are known for their vibrant colors and deep blacks.
But the Pro model, it steps it up with high resolution and a peak brightness of 1300 nits. So you're talking about a super bright and crisp display. And it should be easily viewable even in direct sunlight.
And here's something that might interest you. The Pro model also has this feature. It's called a 2160 Hertz PWM dimming. Basically, it helps reduce eye strain when you're using the phone in low light.
Oh, that's great. For all those people who like to scroll through their phone in bed, this could really make a difference with eye fatigue. Both phones also have a 120 Hertz adaptive refresh rate, which is going to make scrolling and animations super smooth.
And all you gamers out there, listen up. The Pro model also has a 360 Hertz touch sampling rate, which means the screen is super responsive, gives you a real edge in those fast-paced games.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great that they didn't skimp on durability either. Both phones have Corning Gorilla Glass Victus protection and IP54 certification for dust and splash resistance.
Yeah, they're built to last. Built to handle those everyday bumps and spills.
Now let's get into the guts of these phones. The performance. One of the biggest changes is that Nothing switched from MediaTek to Qualcomm Snapdragon chips.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I think a lot of Android users are going to be happy about that because they've come to expect that performance and efficiency from Qualcomm chips.
Exactly. The 3A Pro comes with the Snapdragon 7's Gen 3, while the standard 3A uses the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. Both are powerful. But that 7's Gen 3 in the Pro is definitely a step up.
And the Geekbench scores are pretty impressive, too. The Pro model is supposedly beating out competitors, like the Redmi K70e, which is remarkable for a phone in this price range. And to keep things cool, especially during intense gaming. The Pre also has a vapor chamber cooling system.
Yeah, that helps maintain that top performance, prevents any overheating.
Yeah.
Especially during those longer gaming sessions. It's something you usually only see in those high-end gaming phones, so it's a nice touch.
It is. Now let's talk about something that everybody always loves. Cameras, of course. The 3A Pro has a triple 50MP camera system, which includes a periscope telephoto lens. This is a first for Nothing. And it allows for 3x optical zoom. And with hybrid zoom, you can go up to 60x.
Wow. So you can capture incredible detail from far away. Perfect for concerts, sporting events, even candid shots of your pet across the room.
Exactly. And for those of you who like steady footage, both the primary and telephoto lenses have optical image stabilization, or OIS for short. This helps to keep your videos smooth and steady, even if your hands are a little shaky.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Now, the standard 3A, it has a dual 50MP camera system, so it doesn't have that periscope lens, but it still had a wide and ultra-wide lens. Both models also come with software features, like Ultra XDR and AI scene detection, to help enhance the image quality.
So no matter which model you choose, you're going to be able to capture some amazing pictures. Now let's talk about the software. The 3A series runs on Nothing OS 3.0, which is based on Android 15.
And Nothing OS has always been about that clean, minimalist look, and they've taken that even further with this latest version.
Yep. They redesigned the quick settings panel, introduced a new system-wide font, and added a very intriguing feature called Essential Space.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. Essential Space is an AI-powered feature that identifies apps and media you don't use very often and compresses them to free up storage space.
It's a pretty smart solution to a problem that plagues a lot of smartphone users.
Totally. It's like a much smarter version of that app offloading on iOS. It happens automatically, so you don't have to worry about deleting things or constantly managing your storage.
A huge win for the user experience, for sure. Last but not least, let's talk about battery life and charging.
Okay, so both the 3A and the 3A Pro have 5,000 mAh batteries, which is pretty standard these days for phones like this. What's impressive is the charging speed.
Yeah, the 3A Pro supports 65W wired charging, and the standard 3A supports 50W. That means you can get a full charge in under an hour. And in real-world tests, they're actually beating out the competition, like the Samsung Galaxy A55.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. But there is a catch. No wireless charging.
I know it seems like a missed opportunity, especially with that transparent back. It would have been perfect for showcasing wireless charging.
Right, maybe they're saving it for the next generation.
Maybe. But they do offer 5W reverse charging, so you can at least use it to top up other devices. Now let's wrap things up. By looking at the pricing and market positioning, the Phone 3A starts at $27,999 in India, which is super competitive, especially when you consider all the specs and features.
Yeah, it's way cheaper than the Pixel 7a, and it offers a lot of features you wouldn't find at that price.
Right. And the 3A Pro is expected to be priced at $39,999, which puts it up against phones like the OnePlus Nord 4. It's a tough market. But the 3A Pro has a few advantages, like that periscope camera and the more powerful processor.
It seems like nothing is laser-focused on the mid-range market, especially in India and Europe.
It's a smart move, because that's where a lot of the growth is happening in smartphones.
So what can we say about the Nothing Phone 3A series so far? It's definitely a bold attempt to shake up the mid-range market, offering those premium features at competitive prices, all wrapped up in a distinctive design. We've seen some really innovative features, like that periscope zoom, those high-refresh AMOLED displays, and the AI-driven storage optimization. What stands out to you?
Well, I think what's really interesting is Nothing's attention to detail, not just in the hardware, but in the software as well. Take Nothing OS 3.0, for example. It's not just a reskinned version of Android. They've really thought about the design, the font choices, features like Essential Space. They're really prioritizing user experience.
Yeah, it's almost like they're anticipating your needs before you even realize you have them.
Exactly. Now let's dig a little deeper into some of these key features and see how they really impact that user experience. You know, we talked about how seamlessly they've integrated software and AI into the Phone 3A series, and that Essential Space feature, that's a great example of that. It's not every day you see a phone that actually helps you manage storage like that.
It's like they're reading our minds. It really shows they're committed to making the user experience as smooth as possible and as hassle-free as possible. And it's not just some gimmick. It's a real solution to a problem that so many smartphone users face, especially in that mid-range segment.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Essential Space eliminates that worry of having to delete your photos and videos just to make room for a new app. That's huge for users.
Absolutely. Now, another decision that really stood out to me was their switch to Qualcomm's Snapdragon 7 series chipsets.
Oh, yeah, that was a big move. And I think it's going to go over really well. That Snapdragon 7's Gen 3 and the Pro model, it's a beast. We've seen it outperform some of its competitors in benchmark tests, which is amazing for a phone at this price.
Yeah, and even the standard Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 and the regular 3A, it's no slouch. They can both handle demanding tasks, multitasking, gaming, no problem.
Okay. And to make sure everything runs smoothly, even when you're really pushing it. The Pro model has that vapor chamber cooling system, so it prevents overheating, especially when you're gaming for a long time. You know that's a feature that you usually only find in those expensive phones, so it's a nice addition here.
Yeah, it is. It's clear that Nothing is paying attention to all those little details that really make a difference. Now, we can't talk about Nothing without talking about their signature design, that transparent back. Still a head turner, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's bold. It sets them apart from all those other phones that look the same. And the way they've integrated the glyph interface with the camera layout on the Pro, it's brilliant. It's functional, and it looks great.
Yeah, it shows their commitment to design. And speaking of pushing boundaries, remember that humanoid robot they used for the unboxing?
Oh, yeah. It's like they're saying, we do things differently.
Exactly. It reinforces their brand, and it appeals to those users who are looking for something new, something exciting.
Yeah, in a market that can feel kind of stale sometimes. They're like the cool alternative.
Totally. And they're doing a good job of it. They've gotten a lot of attention from tech enthusiasts everywhere. Now let's zoom in on that camera for a second. Specifically, that periscope lens on the Pro. It's kind of a game changer for mobile photography.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the first time we've seen a periscope lens in a nothing phone. And it really stepped up the camera. That 3x optical zoom, you can get closer to the action without sacrificing quality. Perfect for those faraway shots.
And the optical image stabilization on both the primary and telephoto lenses. That's super important for keeping your photos and videos steady, especially in low light.
It makes a huge difference, especially if you shoot a lot of video. Now, the standard 3A doesn't have the periscope lens, but it still has a great dual camera system. And both models have those software features, like Ultra XDR and AI scene detection, which really improves the picture quality.
Yeah, so it seems like nothing is taking a holistic approach to photography, using both hardware and software to deliver a great experience across all their models. Now, zooming out a bit, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the bigger impact of the Nothing Phone 3A series on the whole smartphone market. It's not just about the phone itself, it's about what it represents.
You know, I think you're right. Nothing is kind of challenging the status quo.
Exactly. They're showing that you don't have to be a huge corporation to innovate.
Yeah.
And make great products.
Yeah, they're proving that a small company can still make waves in a market dominated by the big guys like Samsung and Apple. And they're doing it by focusing on what users care about: design, user experience, and of course, value for money.
Yeah, it's not just about specs anymore. They're really thinking about the whole experience.
Yeah.
And trying to create a product that is functional and enjoyable to use. It's a nice change of pace.
I agree. And I think their success could push other companies to do better. They can't just sit back anymore. They need to innovate and offer something different to stay competitive.
Because nothing has shown that people are hungry for something new, something that challenges the norms.
Definitely.
Their arrival has been exciting,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's ultimately a good thing for consumers.
Oh, for sure. It keeps things interesting.
Absolutely. So the big question now is, what's next for Nothing? They've made a big splash with this 3A series. But can they keep it up?
That's the question, isn't it? They'll have to keep innovating, keep their promises,
Yeah.
and stay ahead of the game if they want to build a loyal fan base.
That's the key. So here's something to think about. Do you think Nothing has what it takes to really disrupt the smartphone market in the long run? Or will they just become another face in the crowd?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it really is exciting to see a company like this, shaking things up, giving us something new. But let's get back to the phones themselves for a minute. We've talked a lot about this Nothing Phone 3A series, and I think it's safe to say they've made something pretty special.
Yeah, I think so too. That design, the specs, the software features, it's a really compelling package.
Especially these devices. I mean, they're undercutting a lot of the big names out there and offering more in terms of features and performance.
It's a good strategy. Target those users who want the best, but don't want to pay those crazy flagship prices.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to take risks, to try new things. It's a breath of fresh air.
I agree. That glyph interface is a perfect example. It's not just a gimmick. It actually adds something new to how we use our phones.
Yeah, I love how they made it even better in the 3A Pro with those separate LED segments and the haptic feedback. It makes notifications so much more interesting.
And let's be honest, it looks really cool. People are going to notice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's not all about looks. They've also made some smart decisions on the inside.
Right, like switching to those Qualcomm Snapdragon chips shows they're serious about performance.
And the benchmark scores prove it. The 3A Pro can keep up with phones that cost way more.
Exactly. You don't have to sacrifice performance for style anymore.
And we can't forget about that periscope camera on the Pro model. Usually you only see that in those expensive flagship phones.
It's true. It opens up a lot of possibilities for photography.
And the optical image stabilization on both the primary and telephoto lenses is a huge bonus.
It makes a big difference, for sure. But, there's one thing that I just don't get. Why no wireless charging?
I know. It seems like such an obvious choice. especially with that transparent back.
Yeah, you'd think they'd want to show that off.
Right. Maybe that's something they're saving for later.
Hopefully.
But even without wireless charging, this Nothing Phone 3A series is impressive. They've really found a good balance between design, performance, features,
Yeah.
and price.
It's a good package. They're definitely a company to keep an eye on.
Okay, so bottom line, for those of you thinking about getting a Nothing Phone 3A or a 3A Pro, if you want something different, something unique that performs well and has all the features you need, then yeah, check out the 3A series.
It's a bold choice, but it could be the right one for you.
And for those of you who are already fans of Nothing, this is just a taste of what they can do.
I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
Okay, so that's it for our deep dive into the Nothing Phone 3A series. We hope you learned something today and maybe got a little inspired. As always, do your own research and choose the phone that's right for you.
But no matter what you choose, it's awesome to see companies like Nothing pushing the boundaries and challenging the way things are done.
It keeps things moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of tech.
Thanks for listening.